All right, everybody. So, back with a crew, a couple of my friends here. This is my buddy Jacob's second pick on Fresh Takes. I'm pretty excited. I literally didn't know this film existed until he recommended it. So, I was pretty happy about when I got to hear about it and liked it quite a lot, not going to lie. So, we're here to talk about it. And since, again, the rule on Fresh Takes is whoever suggests something is kind of one who steers the ship here. So, Jacob, go ahead.
Well, tonight we'll be discussing When Marnie Was There, the 2014 psychological drama animated film from Studio Ghibli, directed by Hiromasa Yonebayashi, who also directed 2010's The Secret World of Arrietty. The this film is based off of a book by Joan G. Robinson from 1967. It's about Anna Sasaki, an asthmatic 12-year-old girl who has a history of self-loathing, who's completely isolated from the world around her. She is sent to live in a seaside town with relatives of hers to help with her asthma. And during her time there, she comes across a mysterious girl named Marnie. And through her interactions with Marnie, Anna learns the importance of connection and how learning to love others is how she learns to love herself. This movie is my all-time favorite movie. No being around the bush here. I struggle to think of any movie where I feel such intense emotions watching it. And I can get pretty emotional watching a movie, like pretty emotionally invested. There are movies I think may be better on a writing standpoint. Not that I don't think of any flaws with this movie, honestly, but honestly, it's my favorite precisely because it speaks to me
Yeah.
on such a profound level. I'll get more into it, but yeah, Fiona, Brock, what are your guys' thoughts?
I can go first, I guess. I did not know at all what to expect in this movie. I had no idea Haley Steinfeld was in it, so that was kind of cool. Didn't quite love the little voice acting resume behind her.
She's really good. Yeah, she's like 3 for 3 at least in my view.
Absolutely, she's not done a bad job whatsoever.
Yeah, never.
And the animation is very pretty, I like that. And
Mhm. Animation's great.
yeah, which is not a shock at this point.
No, no.
Ghibli's not going to make a badly animated movie except for that one time
Except
where they
for the one time.
Earwig. Yeah, that movie was. I don't even know what happened there, but
Yeah, that was.
that you remember how angry I was talking about the movie, Fiona.
I do. I remember that.
But
Yeah.
I like little stories like this of like and through other people. It's very much anyone knows I've written fan fiction for Ruby before, and it's very much how I based the character Neela around that exact same kind of story point. So yeah, I very much like that because I had a lot of that growing up, and I just figured no one liked me because that's just what it was, and like stemming from stuff with my dad, I just figured he didn't like me, no one else would, and it kind of to a way drove that same kind of wedge at sometimes and said things I didn't mean to, kind of like Marnie did at the festival they were at, or not Marnie, sorry,
Anna,
sorry.
Hannah. Yep.
I got so many characters on the brain because like I'm doing this and another Fresh Takes that looks identical to Hannah. So my brain is like, ugh. But yeah, it was very well done. It was a lot more. I didn't know if I didn't expect it to be as like what I want to say isolated, kind of bottled into one area as it was. Once it started going, I thought it was going to go a little bit, but not that that's a bad thing. I like that it was enclosed. It did the story well to keep it that way. And as much as if you looked into it, you could have seen what was coming at the end, I still felt they did it well enough to make sure that you didn't. And I really liked how that all ended up because that was a very simple, and I get what you mean where it's like by a writing standpoint, it's not exactly like a thing that's going to shock you. It was just getting the point across in a simple way, but done very emotionally. It is, they weren't trying to, what I want to say, swing for the fences in every area. They just had their exact idea that they wanted, and they knew exactly how to execute it, and they did a fine job on that narrowed in exact idea they wanted of getting Anna to get where she needed to go. So I liked it quite a bit. Yeah.
And Kiona, I actually recommended this movie to you well before.
Yes, you did.
This one before I recommended it to Brock. And I also recommended it to Josh, and he loved it too. So shout out to you, Josh, if you're listening to this. So Kiona, what are your thoughts?
I liked it. I thought the animation is just beautiful, super gorgeous. I wish that we got more movies that were animated like this today. Honestly, like I think the hand-drawn animation, there's just something that
Go watch Violet Evergarden.
I agree. No, I'm gonna do it. It's on the watch list. I'm with you. But like, yeah, I think that for me, I had a little bit of a different read on it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had like a little bit of a different read on this on especially like the first up until the ending. And
excuse me.
that would be like the one criticism or the one thing that I think I completely, it's either my fault for reading it this way, or it's like it's something that like maybe I don't know, maybe I missed something.
I have a feeling like I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like you misinterpreted something they were trying to say, or
well, I mean, I just think yeah. Go ahead, Jake. Go ahead.
No.
Okay, I'll go ahead. So like. So I like the whole the aspect of like, you know, she finds herself through this remarkable relationship that she has with Marnie. Anna, I mean, I'm talking about Anna being the introverted child, the introverted kid who basically doesn't have many friends and who kind of isolates, and you know, and definitely that was super relatable. The thing about for me was that I don't know that, you know, identity is like one of those big themes for me. So, and I don't know that I've known my true self for most of my life. So especially when I was a kid, like I had a very hard time relating, and I mean this all the way up through high school. I had a very hard time relating to people. I had a very hard time like I thought I was in this constant like fight or flight mentality kind of a thing because of, you know, because of childhood trauma essentially, and like not knowing whether or not the world was out to get me. So like trust issues and everything like that, and you know, and the depression and the hating yourself, the self-loathing, that definitely comes part and parcel with it. So Anna's character in particular really spoke to me. Very relatable. The I hate myself is something that I have said many a time. You both have heard me say that about myself.
She says that like 3 times throughout the whole movie.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I understand the self-loathing aspect of it completely, and that does come from, I think, a lack of understanding of where you fit and you know, and who you are essentially at your core.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm still experiencing revelations about myself that I didn't know to this day. So, you know, like I said, Anna just very relatable, and I understand where she's coming from and why she isolated herself and why she needed someone like Marnie. And in this case, like the ghost of Marnie, like this connection that brings them together across time and space and everything, and like realities, even if you want to go that far. So I think that like in terms of their relationship, I thought it was a beautiful thing, and I thought that Marnie being that person who kind of brings Anna out of her shell And until later, like we don't know this, but we're actually finding out like later on that Anna or
Marnie.
Kazuhiko in a way kind of did that for Marnie as well.
Yeah.
I think that my reading, I this might be different from the way that you two read it, in terms of how you saw the film. I honestly thought Anna and Marnie were in love.
Yeah, I had a feeling that
There's
was
a
where
way you
were-
could get that, yeah.
I
Yeah.
honestly thought that the
I knew-
blushing, the whole like, there's a lot of physical contact. There's a
She
lot
gets
of like,
very like there are times where Marnie holds Anna like kind of a possessive sort of.
yeah,
and-
but I mean, it's more like comforting though. It's like, it's more like they're finding each other. You know.
yeah. Well, you aren't the only one to.
No, I'm not. No,
I
I did
Which,
some research on
of
that.
course, like the twist to the movie that kind of destroys.
The twist destroys that, but I do
Yeah.
think that there might be kind of an explanation to it.
Okay,
There are
we'll
multiple
talk about,
readings, but we won't get to that yet. Yeah,
right. Well, no.
but
right.
but in terms of their relationship, though, there's like there's a deep love and friendship there, and there's also like, for me, I thought there was something more.
Yeah.
So the final revelation, the first time I saw the movie, especially, was kind of a hit to the gut, because I was like, wow, okay, didn't really expect that one. But overall, in terms of what I thought of the film, I actually really liked it, and I thought it's superbly animated and voice acted, and even like the English dub was great. Like the actors all did a
Fantastic.
great job. So the
It's
money
not
they
just-
spent on that was good.
Not just Haley Steinfeld that's here. It's
Yeah, not
also
just Haley Steinfeld.
Kiernan Shipka as Marnie. She's great.
Oh yeah,
She's Kiernan. You also have Gina Davis as Yuriko, and as
Mhm.
Auntie, her John C. Riley and Grace.
Thank
Griffin.
you! IMDb did not have him listed, and I'm like, I swear to God, that was John C. Riley.
yeah, that was definitely John C. Riley.
Yeah, John C. Riley. And also Kathy Bates. No, she was kind of the mean like mom of the girl, like the one who accused Anna of pulling a knife on her daughter.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That and also Gray Griffin as Setsu, like the John C. Riley's wife in the film. But by the way, I met Gray Griffin at a Comic-Con. Okay,
Same.
Gray Griffin.
Yeah.
And I actually mentioned when Marnie was there to her, and much to my delight, she actually remembered the movie. I mentioned to her, I mentioned that it is impossible for me to watch this movie without crying. And her response was, "It's such a sweet story."
Mhm.
That's a precious memory. Like, not only that she remembers the movie, but she also sees it as like a worthwhile film. Like she sees the beauty in it, and she sees, I guess, Great Griffin. It's definitely one of her more subtle roles. Let's just say in voice acting.
Yes.
I'm used to her just kind of shrieking.
And she's fantastic. She's like, I love Gray Griffin. I think she's one of the best, definitely like in the trifecta of voice actresses out there for sure. When I met her, it was at a convention in Hawaii, and it was so funny because like I had just watched through Avatar, The Last Airbender, like the cartoon, and the series, and so I went up to her and I mentioned Azula because of course you got to mention Azula, and she banished me. It was the best thing ever. She's so awesome though. She really takes that extra like moment to like make you feel like this is a really special thing. So
she was doing a Q&A and there was a line of people, but they ran out of time, and one of them she didn't get to ask, but she did a perfect cosplay of Azula, and that was so
my god.
Nice.
So anyway, back to Marnie.
That's great. Yeah,
Marnie, this movie. I've said this. This movie wrecked me when I first saw it. Like it snuck up the emotions that I felt. Like I was not expecting like to have this visceral a reaction
Yeah.
to a movie. Just the very minute, like when she's crying on the beach after the Lantern Festival, and she's called herself ugly and stupid, like unpleasant, and she just crumbles. I honestly had tears cascading down my eyes when I first heard that. And yeah, this and like the movie, it doesn't shy away from like a girl like Anna. Her background is going to be a little rough around the edges. Like she is going to be thinking some nasty thoughts about other people, like everyone does. You know, I'm no better. It's the movie. It is very frank in its
Mhm.
depiction of that sort of thing. Hiramasa, you know, I don't know if he's ever struggled with that, but he really understands that experience. I don't know how he was able to understand that, but anyway, like his depiction of that just worked wonders for me. I just the only other movie I can think of that has made me feel emotions like this is It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
Because that's also a movie that's
Yeah, that is true. There's
True.
like it's that, and that is one thing like we've mentioned Violet Evergarden a couple of times. There is 2 movies that are in the series that come later that like after the main series is done. One has this little redheaded kid named Taylor that might be the most adorable thing ever committed to animation. It was ridiculous. And then there's a second one, the thing that happens with a kid. In the last movie it should be illegal. The things that they made you feel in that last movie with that kid. My God. But yeah, it's when you get the coming of age, figuring yourself out stuff with younger, especially more in Japanese or let's say Eastern style of animation. They have definitely different ways of handling it, and they cut more to the core more seriously.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's something to appreciate when they really get into it. So, yeah, it was done incredibly, incredibly well.
I even connected with Anna in other ways. I used to go like to this lake, like where my grandparents used to live, and the people living around that lake were just like the friendliest people you could possibly meet. The only was they actually reminded me quite a bit of those people.
Nice.
They just accept Anna they just
Yeah.
accept her with open arms, and I love their little like interactions with each other, like how lazy the uncle was, and like how like the footpath like to the house was always like it wasn't never sanded, like it was there's like they're kind of like subtle snapping at each other, like
Yeah.
and it's just like just something about like this movie feels so or like it's your favorite movie is should always be something that feels like it was made by you, not just for you, but by you, and for you don't really care what anyone else thinks about it except for yourself. Oh, I am very happy though that lots of people who've gone through the same thing that I do found a lot in this movie. You know, a lot. It's a very from what I've heard from all across the internet, like it is a very impactful movie. And I'm glad that I'm not alone in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is very impactful. Yeah. Completely.
Um, um, oh, like this movie was nominated for an Oscar, by the way. In case you want
Oh,
proof.
really?
Yeah.
Was it best animated or
Yes, best animated.
Nice.
Wow.
Awesome. Good.
I could see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
I can't off the top of my head think of what the other contenders would have been that year.
There were
I know what
Anomalisa, the Charlie Kaufman animated puppets movie that maybe you guys remember.
Like, vaguely.
Inside Out, which of course won.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that'll do.
Yep, got it. Yep.
That'll do it.
That'll do it.
To be fair, though, that was when Disney winning an animated Oscar actually kind of meant something.
True.
Yeah, back when they cared a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like, put effort into also advertising their films.
Yeah. So I'll say this. For that particular reading that I had and some other people had of the film, uh, as being a little bit more on the romance side of the equation. I maybe it might slightly be projection because like I've sort of discovered in myself that I am a you know bipan basically. So like, and that's something that goes all the way back to my childhood and not even realizing it. And so possibly it might have been a little bit of projection on my part. Like maybe I just wanted to see that. But like I think even with the twist in place that makes you sort of have to go back and reframe everything, even with that in place, it's still a story of this beautiful connection between the two of them, between Anna and Marnie. And it's something that Anna really needed. And I've had people in my life that have pulled me out of, you know, the depressive, like, the doldrums, if you will, of living in those moments of being just super down on myself and low and not thinking anything is good. And I have that to this day. Like I have people in my life who do that to this day, who help me, you know, to kind of get out of that. And Marnie being that for Anna is something that I really loved and I really connected with because sometimes you just need that person. You need that person who's going to live life like the older woman at the very end of the movie, like she said, when she told Anna,
Hisako, voiced by Vanessa
Hisako,
Williams.
yeah. When Hisako told Anna and Anna's friend, whom I'm forgetting the name.
Sayaka.
Thank
That
you.
made my day because it's the name of my favorite character from Madoka Magica.
That's awesome. But like, yeah. So when she tells her that, she tells her that Marnie was a person who lived life with a smile and who lived life to its fullest, even though she was stuck in this like really bad circumstance, and just really like traumatic, like abusive place.
The nuns would like take her to the silo where
horrible.
she told them that the silo is the place where ghosts would suck out the souls of children.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
And she would like braid her hair like really, really harshly.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible. It was horrible to see how Marnie was treated. Poor Marnie, who was like the sweetest person.
Yeah, you think also like with her parents being like always having those parties around, that her life would be a little happier than that.
Yeah.
I had a weird read for about 2 seconds in the film that quickly went away, but I didn't know how I was going to get there because we had ghosts at this point. I didn't know how things were going to go in Supernatural. For a hot minute, when Sayaka calls her up to her room and she's like, I found your diary, and like no one outside of the people who she's talking to, being her aunt and the people in the village, I thought for a quick second, I'm like, is Anna playing with a person who she's projecting to be Marnie, but that was her growing up and forgot about it because she's openly talking about her memory not remembering things? There was a quick second where I was like, wait, what if she is Marnie? And then I was like, nope, wait, no, it's not.
That's what I thought too. That's what
Sayaka was Marnie?
That Anna was Marnie. Okay. She's like, you're always looking at this house. This is your diary. There's chunks of it ripped out. You're openly saying you don't remember things, and you just remember Marnie being there, and then she disappears.
Yeah. I had that same kind of read also at one point. I'm kind of glad that they did.
They kept you on your toes. Yeah. I was happy it was not that, but I was like, okay, I wouldn't have been like I would say I was happier that it was not that. I would have been okay with where they would have went with that, but I'm happy with what they did.
Yep.
You guys want to go a little more into the ending, or is there anything else
Sure.
you want to talk about?
I was gonna say it's one of those things where it's one of those movies where if I would rewatch it with someone, they would be like, "What's your favorite part?" It's kind of like the A Few Good Men. You literally really only talk about like it's an hour and a half long movie building up to a person admitting one thing.
Yeah.
This is kind of where it's the whole movie's done, but like the biggest hammer drop in the entire thing that reframes the whole movie is the end of it.
Yeah.
And getting this, and they go through it very slowly. They don't like tell you all at once. And I appreciate that. Where they're kind of like, they leave you at the 99% point before she goes and talks, and they have the diary and stuff put together. And then when she talks with the artist again, that's where you get the other 1% where it sinks in fully. That you figure out that she's point blank just a descendant of Marty, and you're like, oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
I appreciated that they let you like, we're going to see if it fully goes that direction or not. Because movies don't do that. They normally give you all of it at once, or they give you 50 or 100. They never leave you at the 99% mark.
Right.
Appreciate that. It was different.
Yeah. Okay, now we can talk with out of the way. Let's bring up the big twist that may have rained on a lot of people's parade regarding Anna and Marty's relationship.
There are a few.
Yeah, it turns out, Marnie is Anna's memories of her grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The stories that she remembers Marnie telling her when she was little. And like the thing is, like, I don't get the interpretation that Marnie is a ghost. I think the movie makes it quite clear that. Did you remember when we saw?
Well, they talk about there being ghosts living in the house. That's what they mentioned that earlier in the movie.
Yeah, but also, that is true. That is true. But also the thing is, when we see like young Anna at what we now know as Marnie's funeral, when she's grabbing, you see her holding that doll, she's grabbing onto this doll who looks exactly like Marnie.
Yeah,
that is her, and seeing how much comfort the doll gave her as a child. That is her mind filling in the blanks of what Marnie looked like when she was her age. I think that's pretty clear. And so, about the whole thing, like, I thought that they were going to be like a couple or anything. The thing is, given where Anna is, mentally, like her depressive state, like she's like at the point in the opening where even a platonic relationship with a boy would be therapeutic. Like, I think, like, she's like, when you're at that point, like, you're not really looking for romance as you are just like mental security. And I think, and I don't know, I wouldn't have objected to that, to them being a lesbian, like the gay couple, but what we have here, just knowing that Marnie always loved Anna, like, because Anna was her surrogate daughter, basically. It was when she was like on no speaking terms with her own daughter, and then her daughter dies before they could make amends. And oh my god, like, it's like, this movie is just, like I've said before, like, this is a movie that goes straight for the heart, but not in a way where it feels schmaltzy, never in a way that feels manipulative. It somehow magically feels natural. And it's something that it takes a master to pull off. And luckily here I'm not saying that I can be. And anything guys you want to add about the twist?
No, I just thought it was well done.
See, I kind of think that it's not so much about like them being like lovers or anything like that, but it's more about like identity. And I think that that's something that Anna was sort of dealing with also on top of everything else. Like, it's a layer. It's not like the major thing, but it's a layer.
Well,
so
Well, I think she can also imagine like Marnie as like that that super affectionate girl. You can also kind of read that as Anna like discovering the perfect girl that she wants in her life.
You
So
could
like, you can kind of think of that
very
way.
well
Like,
could.
you shouldn't like rule out the possibility that Anna's
No,
gay
no,
No,
just because of that. Like you shouldn't.
definitely.
just
Yeah,
not for that person.
Right.
yeah, yeah. Obviously not for that person, but I mean, it's still. Mm, man, it's really interesting though. I mean, I think it does go back to the subjectivity of it because I think for me it was just something that I was like I was pretty damn sure.
By the way, her blushing whenever she's around Marnie, we've seen her blush like with other people before that too.
Yeah,
Like when she's at the
it's
park and
fair.
she's
It's normal.
yeah, when she's at the playground and she's blushing, and that counselor he walks up to her and says, "Hey, what are you drawing? Can I see it?" And then she blushes. Then
Yeah.
she blushes when
Yeah.
she sees it. Or when the boatman comes to pick her up when she's like stranded at the mansion when the tide comes in.
Yeah, yeah.
And and the Ghibli films are so amazing of immersion.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't you guys all agree?
Oh, I agree.
Oh,
Immersion, like,
absolutely.
I don't know how well versed
Absolutely.
I don't know how well versed you guys are in Ghibli films, though, but
Not
I've seen all
super
of them.
well versed, but
Decent amount.
yeah, I
I've
mean,
seen,
I would say every single one that I've seen definitely like yeah, it definitely speaks to that.
except for
Super
ironically
immersive.
Earwig,
Except for Earwig,
which is ironic because Earwig is their only CG1 movie, and yet somehow is the least immersive one.
it is.
Like, by the way, like that movie, Brock, avoid that movie like the plague.
I'm looking at the Google page, and if you would have gave me a million guesses to what studio did this, I would have shot you if you said Ghibli.
Oh man, yeah, no, seriously.
What is that?
What is that? I don't even
Like,
know.
what
Is that
is even going on?
Also, the movie has absolutely no heart to it, which is
It
just.
doesn't-
I know it
look
was
like
so
it.
like it was the only Ghibli movie that I can think of that I've seen where I was like, I'm so bored watching this. Like,
Right.
Based on
There are other
Such a
Ghibli
misstep.
films that are like less fun to watch than others, though. There are movies that slice of life format that may bore a few people. Honestly, like I wouldn't be surprised if you guys saw Only Yesterday and found it like too slow for your tastes. But
but I mean, but it does speak. But there is a really like amazing sense of atmosphere and an amazing like and it just goes to the artistry that they show.
and also the sound design.
Yeah,
The
very
sound
much
design,
so. The sound
especially the
design.
silo scene. That's like the part.
Yeah, the sound.
Like,
Yeah,
that's
that
like
was great.
basically where it becomes a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh
Where
yeah,
it becomes like an actual ghost movie in that sense.
yeah,
that was great.
yeah.
And yeah, I will tell you, the thing, like, again, I'm very much a found family type of person. And very much, again, if anyone that's watched Ruby and wants to read the fan fiction that a friend of mine started that I might pick up, whatever. It's like got 140 chapters at this point on fanfiction.com if anyone wants to look into it. When she finally does admit and calls her aunt her mom at the end, that made me very happy.
It made me happy.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was
really
really
sweet.
good. That was really
Yeah, the only thing
I like that too.
The only thing that was stopping her from calling her that was when she found out that they were getting a subsidy from the government to take care of her, so she just thought of it as a job, and the fact that she was hiding it from Anna definitely didn't help.
It didn't help though, but like at the age of when they got her, that might have been weird to tell her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just also
And
like
then you wait for too long, it gets almost worse if you would have told them.
When your parents and your guardian grandmother die and you're kind of desperate for pure love that isn't a job, and so that could be like, even though it can be a completely factual, like a complete authentic love and from a guardian, like the fact of getting paid, that just puts like a whole veil between you and that love. And yeah, it's like I said, this movie, it's just I can just watch this movie if I'm not like welling up with tears watching this movie like I did for live viewing for this, I'm sobbing uncontrollably because like I said, this is my favorite movie, and just because no other movie makes me feel like this movie does.
I have an honest question. Now that I'm hearing this from you,
So,
did you want to get one under your belt before you did this, or why didn't you want to do this one first?
maybe before Bell.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I just maybe I honestly don't have. Well, I guess maybe one more below under my belt, maybe because before like one for the road, if that's what you mean, like
Okay.
before I start working at MSU. But I don't know. I guess I just wanted to. If I just wanted to go off on a high note, I guess, and I didn't want to. I'm not gonna go on your podcast just for the hell of it, Brock. But no offense.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm just like, if I'm gonna use my time, I'd rather talk about these two movies, that anime movies that actually have made me cry.
That's all good, man.
Movies that have, because both Belle and When Marnie Was There have.
Oh yeah, I teared up at the end of it. I won't say I didn't. No, I did absolutely.
Oh, I did, especially the first time I saw this. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember, Kiona, you messaged me
Very
at the line.
touching.
It says, the one line, Kiona, that got you that I remember that you messaged me on Facebook was,
Oh, yeah.
I called up, my heart shouted.
Yeah.
I called out to you, my heart shouted.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's a hell of a line.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like even one of my favorite ones at the start was the whole invisible circle thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
I like that quite a bit.
I definitely felt that when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is. I think it is funny that in both the communities that I'm involved in Redstream and in RPC and stuff, like it seems like we're sort of a gathering of outcasts in a way. Like and that's one of the better things about like the internet and stuff like that, is that we can bring that together, and and hopefully for good purposes and not for the other kind. But yeah. But yeah, Jacob, I do want to thank you for recommending this movie to me, because you did that at a moment where I think I really needed it.
You're welcome, man.
Yeah. So yeah. It's a really fantastic film. It's like superb.
I'm glad
that's the word I would use.
I would not have watched this if I would not have. I didn't know it existed until you suggested it to me. So I'm glad you suggested it. Very good. Because I will recommend it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was very, very good.
I just can't get over like the little bits of animation, like the detail, also like the
One thing
hair and everything. Like it's so hard to do that, and they just always do it so well.
Water always impresses me.
Water,
water, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
And again, it's just that hand drawn. Like I really, really miss that.
Yeah,
super miss it.
Apparently, tomatoes don't actually squeeze like that when you cut them, and yet that was a detail they put in just because to put you in the atmosphere. To make it like the cutting all the more satisfying. That's why I saw the documentary. Hiromasa Yonebayashi insisted that.
I don't mind when they do little things like that.
I definitely don't mind that. Yeah,
that's like I got it ruined for me the other day. Like in animation and games and everything, and like shows, like bows don't creak when you pull them back.
Mm-hmm.
They just do that to add atmosphere. I'm like, well, now okay. I don't not want that in anything else. I don't care if it doesn't make sense.
It's kind of done for atmosphere, and it's kind of done to also like it's done to reinforce that sort of haptic feedback that you're getting as well.
Exactly. The scene.
Yeah, the tension of the bow. So it's like
exactly.
I mean, of course, in real life you would feel it, but we can't do that in games. So
Exactly. Yep. Just like,
It works.
it works.
But yeah, that is kind of like, now I'm never going to be able to unhear that.
It sucks, doesn't it?
Oh,
But like, yeah, that's like that with the tomatoes thing. I'm just like, okay, those don't actually do that. But you know what? I'm glad that it does it because it looks cooler in the thing. Just like silencers are actually silent.
yeah, silencers are not silent.
I don't know how you guys would feel about Secret World of Arietti, because that's also Hiromasa Inabayashi. And also it is also a very atmospheric film, and it's more of a fantasy one, obviously, because it's about tiny people like living in the walls of your house. I mentioned this in the Bell one, Brock, but the UK dub for this was actually Tom Holland's film debut.
That's right. You did say that.
Wait,
What was he again?
He plays the boy in the movie, the boy who's at his grandma's house with a heart condition. And
got it.
Yeah, that.
Forgot about that.
That's his.
That's right.
That's his big debut too.
That's crazy.
Jeez.
And apparently, what's funny is I saw like an interview with him, like when he's like 12 and he's talking like that, and we see early on that he gives the whole ending away in that interview. No joke.
Oh, it was always there. He's too excited.
Yeah.
He did have some like Benedict Cumberbatch just slap his hand over his mouth.
Yeah. So yeah, any movie that compels you guys to watch more Ghibli is definitely a plus.
Absolutely.
Hiromasa Inabayashi, since that he actually started his own studio called Studio Panak. Actually, like he directed Mare and the Witch's Flower, which is more of a traditional Ghibli film, which I think is good. I think it's a good movie, but nothing compares to the ones that he actually did while he was working at Ghibli, because that was his Ghibli movies. Arietti and Marnie is where he really found his voice, in my opinion. And he also directed like a segment for like an anthology film they once did. It also has a lot of that Arietti quality to it, and yeah, that kind of atmospheric sort of quality that you see in his movies.
Oh, so that's the thing that came up when I was okay. This is a movie that came up when I was looking for a title card for the YouTube video. I see the redhead with the pigtails.
Yeah,
there was a picture of her laying on a deck. Okay, that makes sense. Got it. Because it was a caption. It said a Ghibli name and a Ghibli film and everything but name, and then it showed that, and I was like, she was not in the movie. Who the heck is that?
Yeah.
Nice, cool. It does look very pretty.
Yeah. I hope you guys start a Ghibli binge after this.
I just might. There's a buddy of mine that hasn't seen a bunch of them that needs to go through. He's a big anime fan. He's just never gotten a chance to sit down and watch them. And as soon as he's feeling better, I've told him that I do a binge of them any day. So absolutely, I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm glad you recommended this, Jacob. It was very, very good.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, I'm assuming that Brock, you're going to be on the RPC one for Blue Beetle.
I'm unless something prevents me from being there.
Yeah. So Josh, I know he wants to be on there too. Obviously, it'd be cool.
I don't want to do it if Josh isn't. If I'm going to be perfectly honest, there's not really a point.
Yeah, but if you do, like, it'd be cool, like, if you guys actually mentioned this to him, because Josh, if you're listening to this, Josh, you're kind of my Marnie.
Aww.
Marnie, because you were there for me like the worst day of my life back in 2021. When I was at my absolute lowest point. And yeah, it was that day in November 2021, and where I was just done with life, done because of like people who I thought I could trust, kind of like you just kind of made me feel horrible about myself. And Josh was in there to help me, and thank you for that, Josh. And if you're listening to this,
definitely. Make sure he hears about it, bud.
Yeah.
For sure. Absolutely. And he's sure if he wasn't like up to his asshole and work all the time, he'd be free, more open to doing stuff like this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you got anything else you want to say, bud?
When Marnie Was There, it's my favorite movie of all time. I love it to pieces, and it just reinforces more. If ever like people ask me why I love Ghibli, this is the prime example. I even love it more than Spirited Away. Even I love it. Man, I just love the sincerity of it. I love Spirited Away. Don't get me wrong. I love their fantastical movies like Mononoke and Totoro and House Moving Castle. But this movies like Marnie will always have a place in my heart over the, kind of like the gaudiness of Spirited Away, or where it just throws a lot at you and visually, which I love. Don't get me wrong, but if man, like Ghibli, they're a class in and of itself, really, and I just love this movie to pieces. I absolutely adore it. And yeah, what more was going to say? It's my favorite movie of all time for a damn good reason.
I get it. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad we got you on here to talk to you about it, bud.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for suggesting it to us and suggesting this.
Yeah, it was very good.
This was good fun.
It was fun recording with you. Well, I know this is normally the point in here where we tell people where they can see him and all that, but like anything else you want to say before you're out of here, bud? I know you said you're not going to be in recordings that much anymore, so for a while, so go ahead.
All it is, you can find me on Facebook under Jail Crable, Krehbiel.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Like, do you one thing I was going to say also, it's like, that you talked to me about being in some groups and stuff. Do you want to mention any of that for other people that might be interested or anything like that for autism? Do you want to mention any of that, bud?
Oh yeah.
If you want to support the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, that'd be very appreciated.
Yes.
There you go. Absolutely. Awesome. Good to hear. And again, send me a link to it, and I'll put it in the comment, the info, whatever they call it, of the video. I don't know. It's
description box.
Description box. Sure, let's go with that one. Yeah, send it to me and I'll put it in there. All right, Kiana, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on the Twitter. I'm not going to call it that other name, at Neoplasmic24. And you can also find me on Instagram and Threads at Neoplasmic81. And on twitch.tv/Neoplasmic. Sometimes I'm still working on it, still getting it up to speed. So, yep.
It's always a chore. I finally figured out how to, the overcomplicatedness of people setting stuff up. I finally found out how to just straight rip a Discord conversation into it without needing to do extra hullabaloo. And it only took like 3 steps, but it took me 5 pages into YouTube to find an easy one.
Holy crap, man.
Oh, like 2 minutes.
I'll ask you.
But anyway, you can find me everywhere at Organoid Zero, mainly on Twitch and YouTube and on the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. And if anyone is a fan of the Marvel Spider-Man games, I will be giving away a digital deluxe edition of the sequel when it comes out on October 20th. All you need to be doing is subscribe to my stream and be watching the stream. Your name will be entered after you type in a specific code for the giveaway. After a while, I will just hit a button, a wheel will spin, and an automatic order will be picked out, not through favoritism, not through nothing. It'll just be completely random. So come on in, $5 to win something that's worth $85. I think that's a pretty good deal. All right. Until I see you guys next time, we'll see you all later. Bye.